The galactic marketplace smelled like a fusion of spices, metal, and freshly baked bread. The air buzzed with the sounds of chatter in a dozen languages, punctuated by the beeping of hover carts and the distant thrum of energy zappers. Alex Rodriguez maneuvered his delivery scooter through the throng of intergalactic customers, the vibrant colors of their clothes and skins swirling around him like a painter's palette. He'd delivered pizzas in this bustling hub for years, and every day felt like an adventure, each order a glimpse into the lives of beings from worlds he could only dream of visiting. Extra cheese for the Zogtians, he muttered under his breath, checking his holographic delivery pad. The screen displayed an order so routine it had become second nature, a large pepperoni pizza destined for a family of 5 from a local trading outpost. Another day, another pizza. But Alex craved more than just the ordinary. As he parked his scooter outside Galactic Slices, the pizzeria where he had worked since he was a teenager, he took a moment to breathe it all in. The scent of hot, cheesy pizza filled the air, mixing with the exotic aromas wafting from nearby food stalls. He could see Kira, the owner, chatting with a group of jovial Blorbans while preparing their orders. Her laughter was a melody amidst the chaos, a reminder that even in the hustle, joy thrived. "Hey, Alex," Kira called, her voice cutting through the noise like a knife. "You got a moment? I need you to check the inventory after your shift." "Sure thing, Kira," he yelled back, already shifting gears back into work mode. Moments later, Alex strapped a thermal bag over his shoulder and scanned for his next delivery. The day was moving along uneventfully until a notification blinked on his pad, an unusual order from a war-torn sector on the planet Zarathia. His brow furrowed. "This can't be right," he mumbled, examining the details. A large order of puff pastries, spicy Zarquin wings, and 2 extra-large pizzas. It was an order fit for a banquet, not the grim backdrop of a conflict zone. The map pinged a location deep within a military enforcement zone, one of the most dangerous areas in the galaxy. "Hey, Kira, you see this?" he asked, showing her the order screen. Kira frowned, glancing over her shoulder. "Zarathia? That's a risky delivery. But, if they're placing an order, maybe they're trying to celebrate something. You know how war zones go, they'll take any moment of joy they can get." "Right, but what if?" Before he could finish, Kira waved him off. "Just keep your head down, Alex. You've got a good heart. But don't let that blind you to the realities of the galaxy. Deliver, and get back safe." The tension of her words hung in the air as he headed out, uncertainty gnawing at his gut. The galactic marketplace slowly faded behind him, replaced by a stark contrast of rubble and despair as he navigated toward the front lines of a conflict that had stretched for years, a landscape where laughter was buried beneath the weight of cannons and sorrow. The streets of the war-torn sector lay like a graveyard of crumbling structures, filled with silence that felt forbidding, as if the very air discouraged life. The usual thrumming chatter was absent, replaced by the haunting echo of distant explosions. Alex clenched his jaw, the unease gripping him tighter. All he could hear was the faint whir of his scooter's engine and the rustling of debris beneath his tires. Finally, he reached the coordinates. The location was marked as a makeshift shelter, a former school that stood battered but resilient. Peering through the doorway, he saw a group of weary faces. Children sat in circles, their tattoos of war painted across their skin, while adults spoke in hushed tones, mouthfuls of worry and courage. For a moment, Alex hesitated, feeling like an intruder. Yet, the enticing aroma wafting from his pizza bag pulled him away from his fears. "Delivery," he called, stepping cautiously into the dimly lit space. The sudden hush that fell over the room was palpable, eyes shifting toward him in a mix of curiosity and apprehension. From the shadows stepped a tall figure with deep indigo skin and luminous eyes, an alien unlike any he had seen before. "You brought food?" the being asked, surprise etched across their features. Alex nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, pizza and wings. One large order." As he handed over the thermal bag, he noticed the abundance of food and the change in energy. The adult's brows lifted, and a flicker of hope ignited in the dull light. "You're a brave soul, delivering here. We haven't seen outsiders in ages," the alien continued, their voice steady, hiding a tremor of vulnerability. "What's it like out there?" Alex asked, half expecting tales of heroism and glory. Instead, the alien lowered their gaze to the ground. "It's chaos, but we survive." The kids around them began to nibble at the pizza with cautious excitement, chewing slowly to savor each bite. Alex felt a lump form in his throat, witnessing their joy in tiny portions. It was just pizza, he thought, but to them, it was an oasis amidst turmoil. "Is it true? The war is over?" one of the children asked, a glimmer of hope illuminating her face. "Not yet," the alien replied softly, eyeing Alex. "But days like this remind us we're still alive." Alex's heart sank. The order had taken him beyond mere delivery. It had plunged him into the heart of currents shifting through a war-torn world. He straddled the line between two vastly different realities, one filled with vibrant life, and another steeped in turmoil. As he prepared to leave, the alien's gaze locked onto his. "Thank you for bringing this," they said, the warmth in their voice contrasting the chill of their surroundings. "You have shown us kindness when everyone has forgotten." Alex nodded, the weight of their words lingering in the air. He had come here to deliver food, but somehow, he felt he had received something far more valuable, a profound sense of connection. The quietude outside had shifted, a soft chorus of voices resonating within. Rather than the chaos of war, he witnessed the resilience of life, the beauty of humanity even in desolation. As he rode back through the still streets haunted by echoes of battle, Alex knew he was forever changed. This delivery wasn't merely an order, it was a call to see the world through a different lens, one that dared to hope for peace amidst the ashes of conflict. For the first time, he felt the pulse of a galaxy beyond the pizzas, an urgency to bridge the gaps of understanding that separated them all. His path set, Alex caught a glimpse of the galactic marketplace glowing in the distance, a vibrant world still alive with possibility. He had only begun to scratch the surface of what it meant to connect with others, and with that realization, a subtle determination filled his chest. It was just the beginning. Next stop, Alex thought. A silent war zone that now echoed with the promise of change. Alex stepped into the building, his heart pounding like a wild drum in his chest. The air inside smelled of dust and dampness, a stark contrast to the fragrant pizzas still warm in his bag. He scanned the faces of the occupants, adults and children alike, all marked by the trials of war yet holding an undeniable spark of resilience. "Delivery," he announced, trying to inject some cheer into the grim atmosphere. Several heads turned, their expressions shifting from skepticism to curiosity. One of the adults, a blue-skinned Zektar with intricate patterns etched into his skin, stepped forward. His eyes, a vibrant shade of yellow, glimmered with cautious hope. "You brought food?" he asked, voice deep and resonating, echoing slightly against the cracked walls. "Yeah, a whole feast," Alex replied, pulling out the pizzas and pastries, the aroma filling the room and momentarily overshadowing the surrounding despair. "I hope you like pepperoni." The Zektar's eyes widened as he took in the sight of the pizzas. "You don't understand, do you?" he said, shaking his head slowly. "Food like this is rare here. It brings joy." His words hung in the air, laden with meaning. "I'm Zarnak, by the way." "Alex," he introduced himself, still reeling from the warmth of the reception. "I'm just a delivery guy, but I hope this helps." As the children scrambled to grab slices, laughter erupted in the room, a sound that felt foreign and precious in this place of sorrow. Alex couldn't help but smile, a wave of relief washing over him. He observed the Zektar as they interacted, their camaraderie evident in the way they shared food and stories, joyous moments woven into the fabric of their hardship. "What's going on here?" Alex asked, cautious but genuinely curious. "I mean, the war," Zarnak sighed, his expression shifting to one of solemnity. "We are not the monsters the stories tell. The conflict is complicated. Many of us wish for peace, but the power struggles above us forge weapons from our lives." "Power struggles?" Alex echoed, remembering the countless narratives he had heard. The Zektar were often depicted as ruthless conquerors in the media, a stereotype that had ingrained itself deeply in his mind. "Yes," Zarnak continued, "many of our leaders profit from chaos, and we suffer the consequences." He gestured toward the children, who were now engaged in a lively debate over the best pizza topping. "But we believe in community, sharing, and rebuilding. Even amidst war, we find ways to celebrate life." Alex felt a shift within him as he listened. The Zektar were not the ruthless villains he had always imagined. They were parents, friends, survivors. "I had no idea," he admitted, heart heavy with the weight of his misconceptions. Zarnak nodded, understanding flickering in his gaze. "Few do. You see only what they allow you to see. We have our own stories, our own dreams." As the conversation deepened, Alex learned more about the Zektar's culture, how they valued harmony and community over conflict, how they had once thrived as a peaceful society before the war had upended their lives. The Zektar had a tradition of gathering for meals, using food as a means of fostering connection, a tradition that persisted even in the face of adversity. "Can I help you?" Alex asked, the words tumbling out before he had fully processed them. The thought of assisting these people ignited a spark of purpose within him. "I mean, I can't just deliver food and leave." Zarnak regarded him with surprise, a flicker of hope in his yellow eyes. "You would do that? It's dangerous out there." "I've seen the worst of it, and I'm still here," Alex replied, determination hardening his voice. "How can I help?" Zarnak looked around the shelter, his brow furrowed in thought. "We need supplies, food, and," he paused, glancing at the children, "we need to keep their spirits high. If you could gather more food and perhaps help us set up a community meal, it would mean so much." Alex felt a rush of adrenaline at the prospect. "Absolutely, I can make it happen." "Thank you," Zarnak breathed, a hint of disbelief in his tone. "But do you understand the risks?" "Every day is a risk," Alex replied, feeling the weight of his decision settle on him. But I can't walk away from this. The Zektar around him began to murmur, their gratitude palpable. Alex realized that it wasn't just about the food. It was about connection, about breaking down the barriers that had been built by fear and misunderstanding. It was a chance to redefine the narrative, to be a part of something larger than himself. As he prepared to leave, Zarnak clasped a hand on his shoulder, his grip firm but gentle. "We are grateful, Alex. Your kindness may seem small, but it is a beacon in the darkness." With that, Alex stepped back outside, the air heavy with the tension of the world around him. The silence that had once felt suffocating was now charged with possibility. He revved up his scooter, determination surging through him. While he sped back towards the galactic marketplace, his mind raced with thoughts and plans. He would gather supplies, rally support, anything to help the Zektar community. He was no longer just a delivery guy, he was becoming an advocate for a people he barely understood, yet felt a growing bond with. As the neon lights of the marketplace illuminated his path ahead, Alex was filled with a renewed sense of purpose. He was ready to challenge the stereotypes, to bridge the gap between worlds, and to be a voice for those who had been silenced by the chaos of war. The war may have ravaged their lives, but it would not extinguish their spirit. And Alex, in his humble way, was determined to help fan the flames of their resilience. Alex's heart raced with a newfound determination. He had arrived at this war-torn building as a simple pizza delivery guy, but now he felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. What if I could actually make a difference? He pondered as he looked around at the Zektar who had gathered, their faces lit with hope and gratitude. The laughter of the children echoed in his mind, a sound so precious it made him want to protect it at all costs. As he stood there, Zarnak's expression grew serious again. "The situation is more precarious than you realize. We are trying to negotiate peace, but there's a rogue faction that will stop at nothing to sabotage our efforts." The Zektar's voice trembled slightly, revealing the fear beneath his stoic facade. "They believe that the only way to reclaim our power is through violence." "Violence?" Alex echoed, his brow furrowing. "Who leads this faction?" "A former leader named Corbin," Zarnak explained, his yellow eyes narrowing in focus. "He was once respected among us, but his ideals twisted over time. He thinks that our society can only thrive through domination. We have tried to reason with him, but he's become a zealot, rallying those who still crave war." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. "So you're saying he's actively working against your peace talks?" "Yes," Zarnak replied, his demeanor heavy with the burden of his people's plight. "He has set booby traps around our negotiation sites and spreads propaganda to incite fear. We need allies who understand our plight, who believe in our cause." The weight of the Zektar's words struck Alex like a physical blow. This wasn't just about delivering food anymore, this was about saving lives. He thought of the children, their laughter a fragile sound in the face of such darkness. "What can I do?" he asked, his voice steadying with resolve. "If you can reach our allies in the nearby settlements, you could warn them. They might have resources or strategies that could help us counter Corvin's plans. But you must act quickly. The next round of negotiations is scheduled for tomorrow," Zarnak instructed, urgency lacing his tone. Alex nodded, understanding the gravity of the mission. "How far is it to the nearest settlement?" "Not far, but the route is dangerous. You'll need to be cautious. Corvin's followers are everywhere, and they are looking for anyone who opposes him," Zarnak cautioned. "I'll do it," Alex said without hesitation. "I'll deliver the message." Zarnak's expression softened, gratitude mingling with fear in his eyes. "You are putting yourself at great risk, Alex. I cannot stress how dangerous this is." "I've faced danger before," Alex replied, recalling the countless times he had navigated through the chaotic streets of the galactic marketplace. "I might just be a delivery guy, but I'm not afraid to stand up for what's right." "Then let's prepare you," Zarnak said, his voice firming with purpose. "We'll gather supplies and a map to ensure you know the safest route. Your courage could be the key to saving many lives." As the Zektar began to organize and prepare, Alex felt a surge of energy coursing through him. He was no longer just an observer in a distant conflict. He was stepping into the fray, ready to lend his voice to those who had been silenced for too long. With a makeshift backpack filled with essential supplies, a map, some food rations, and a small communicator, Alex felt a sense of purpose take hold. Zarnak handed him the map, its surface marked with red crosses indicating potential dangers and safe passages. "Stay close to the river. It will keep you out of sight and lead you to the settlement quickly." "Got it," Alex replied, folding the map carefully and tucking it away. "I'll be as quick as I can." "Remember, trust your instincts," Zarnak advised, placing a reassuring hand on Alex's shoulder. "You've already shown more courage than many. You have the heart of a true ally." With a final nod, Alex turned to leave, the gravity of his mission weighing heavily on him. As he stepped outside, the air was thick with tension, yet something within him felt lighter. He was going to fight for these people, for their chance at peace. As he maneuvered through the ruins of the crumbling city, the sounds of distant gunfire and explosions filled the air, a haunting reminder of the conflict that had engulfed the Zektar. Alex's pulse quickened with every step, adrenaline surging through his veins. He couldn't afford to be caught, failure was not an option. The path was fraught with obstacles, debris littered the streets, and shadows flickered in the corners of his vision. He pressed on, his mind racing with thoughts of the Zektar and their struggle. How could I have thought they were just monsters, he mused, guilt gnawing at him. What had I been fed about them? They are just people trying to survive. After what felt like an eternity, he reached the riverbank, its waters glistening under the pale light of the distant stars. Taking a deep breath, he followed the river, grateful for the cover it provided. Each footfall felt like a heartbeat, propelling him forward toward the settlement. But his journey was far from over. As he rounded a bend, he spotted a figure in the distance. The silhouette was unmistakable, clad in dark armor, with a menacing stance that sent chills down Alex's spine. Corbin's followers, he breathed, heart racing as he ducked behind a cluster of rocks, trying to remain unseen. The rogue faction patrolled the area, their weapons clutched tightly, eyes scanning for any signs of dissent. Alex's mind raced with options. He could wait for them to pass, or he could try to sneak around. The stakes had been raised, and he had to make a choice. With a deep breath, Alex settled into a crouch, listening intently. He was close to the settlement, but if he was caught, it would spell disaster, not just for him, but for the Zektar and their hopes for peace. He peered around the rocks, watching the patrol. Their conversations were laced with anger and frustration. "We'll crush them at the negotiation," one of them growled. "They're fools to think they can talk their way out of this mess." Determined, Alex steeled himself for the next step. He wouldn't let fear dictate his actions. He wouldn't let Zarnok and the others down. Gathering his courage, he decided to wait for the perfect moment to slip away, a moment that would allow him to reach the settlement and deliver the crucial information. As he crouched in the darkness, the sound of the river flowing nearby became a soothing backdrop to his racing heart. He was not just delivering pizza anymore, he was delivering hope. And for that, he would fight with every ounce of strength he had. The rogue faction's patrol began to drift further down the riverbank, creating a small window of opportunity. Alex took a deep breath, preparing to make his move. "This is it," he whispered to himself. "For the Zektar. For peace." With renewed determination, he sprang from his hiding spot, sprinting along the water's edge, the beating of his heart echoing louder than his footsteps. The settlement was in sight, and the air crackled with potential, a chance for something greater than himself. As Alex stepped onto the rocky path leading away from the war-torn building, the chaotic world around him faded momentarily as he focused on the task ahead. His heart pounded with determination, not just from the urgency of his mission but from the weight of the stories he'd heard. Each step felt heavier, yet infused with purpose. He could no longer see himself merely as a pizza delivery guy, he was now a messenger of hope. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over the landscape. He followed the map closely, the red marks guiding him away from the main roads, where Corvin's followers would undoubtedly patrol. The cool breeze was refreshing, but it carried the lingering scent of smoke and ash from distant fires, a reminder of the conflict that raged beyond his immediate sight. As he navigated the narrow paths, Alex heard footsteps behind him. He turned cautiously, and to his surprise, a familiar blue-skinned Zektar emerged from behind a cluster of rocks. It was Lyrics, the first Zektar he'd interacted with when delivering the pizzas. "Alex," Lyrics called out, her voice filled with urgency. "I'm coming with you." Alex raised an eyebrow. "You don't have to, you know. It's dangerous." "I know," she replied, her determination unwavering. "But you're not alone in this. We Zektar believe in community. I want to help." He paused, considering her words. The bond they had formed, however brief, felt significant. "All right, just stay close and follow my lead." They walked together in silence, the sounds of nature contrasting sharply with the distant echoes of conflict. As they moved deeper into the woods, Alex could feel a growing bond with Lyrics, one rooted in their shared mission. "Tell me more about your people," he said, breaking the silence. "I want to understand what you're fighting for." Lyrics smiled faintly, her eyes brightening. "We Zektar have always valued harmony above all else. Our ancestors believed in a balance between nature and technology, a way to coexist peacefully. Corvin's ideas go against everything we stand for. He wants to dominate, to instill fear." "Fear is a powerful weapon," Alex muttered, remembering the stories Zarnok had shared about Corvin's tactics. "But how do you fight against that?" "By holding on to our principles," she said firmly. "We have a hidden technology, a peace communicator. It was designed centuries ago to unite our clans and foster understanding. If activated, it could bridge the divides Corvin has created. But it's hidden and well guarded." Alex's interest peaked. "Where is it? We need to get it before it falls into the wrong hands."
Lyrics hesitated, glancing around as if the trees might be listening. It's within the ruins of our elders' temple.
Corvin has a stronghold nearby, and he's likely already searching for it. If he gets there first, her voice trailed off, the unspoken fear hanging heavy between them. Then we'll have to move quickly, Alex replied, his mind racing.
Can you guide me there?
She nodded, her expression resolute.
Follow me. We'll take the back route.
As they walked, Lyrics began to share stories of the Zektar's past, their vibrant culture, and the peace they had once known. The tales painted a picture of a civilization rich in history and tradition, a far cry from the war-torn existence they now faced. Alex listened intently, feeling an emotional connection grow deeper with every word. We used to gather at the temple every year for the Festival of Unity, she recalled, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. It was a celebration of our harmony, a reminder of who we are. I wish I could show you the beauty of it.
I'd like that,
Alex replied, imagining a time when laughter filled the air instead of gunfire. But right now, we need to focus on the present. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes startled them both.
Alex instinctively reached for a nearby branch, ready to defend.
But it was only a small creature, darting away from the noise. They shared a nervous laugh, the tension easing slightly. As they approached the temple ruins, the landscape shifted. It felt almost sacred, with ancient stones entwined in vines, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers. But the beauty was marred by the remnants of past battles, scorched earth, broken statues, and the echoes of what had been.
This is it, Lyrics said, her voice a whisper. The temple is just ahead.
As they stepped into the shaded area of the structure, a sense of awe washed over Alex. The architecture was breathtaking, with walls adorned in intricate carvings depicting Zektar history. But there was no time for reverence. They needed to find the peace communicator.
We should split up, Alex suggested. I'll check the main chamber. You look around the side rooms.
Lyrics nodded, determination in her eyes.
Be careful. If Corvin's followers are here, they'll be watching.
With a shared glance of understanding, they parted ways. Alex felt the weight of the moment as he entered the main chamber, the air thick with expectation. Dust particles danced in the sunlight streaming through the cracks in the stone. As he moved deeper into the room, his heart raced. The symbols etched into the walls seemed to come alive, telling stories of unity and strength. Yet, the urgency of their mission loomed larger. He had to find that communicator. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the stone, causing Alex to freeze.
He looked around, instincts kicking in.
The sound of footsteps approached, quick and heavy.
He knew he wasn't alone.
Lyrics, he called out, but his voice was swallowed by the vastness of the chamber. Adrenaline surged through him as he scanned the room, searching for a hiding place. Behind a large, cracked stone, he crouched low, his breath held as the footsteps drew nearer.
His mind raced with thoughts of Corvin and his followers. Had they already found out about him and Lyrics? In that moment of stillness, Alex realized that this was more than just a delivery.
It was a fight for survival, for peace, and for the future of the Zektar people. He had already committed himself to this cause, and there was no turning back. He would protect the laughter of those children at all costs. As the footsteps drew closer, Alex's resolve hardened. He would find the peace communicator, and he would help Lyrics and her people reclaim their future. The stakes had never been higher, and he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. As Alex and Lyrics pressed deeper into the woods, a sense of urgency enveloped them like the heavy canopy overhead. The path narrowed, and the sounds of the distant conflict faded, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the occasional call of strange creatures. But the tranquility was deceptive, and Alex could feel the tension crackling in the air like static electricity. Tell me more about this communicator, Alex said, trying to keep his mind focused on the task at hand.
What does it look like? How does it work? Lyrics took a deep breath, her brow furrowing in concentration. It's a large crystal, embedded within an ancient artifact. The Zektar have always believed that it resonates with the energy of the universe, allowing us to communicate across vast distances. Once activated, it can send a message that resonates with the hearts of others. It's how we use to resolve disputes and prevent wars.
Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her words. The idea of a device that could foster peace seemed almost mythical in a world so entrenched in conflict.
And Corvin wants that power for himself?
Exactly, Lyrics said, her voice tinged with an urgency that made Alex's heart race. He believes that by controlling it, he can dominate all factions and eliminate dissent. We must reach the temple before he does. Just as they rounded a bend, a sharp crack echoed through the trees. Alex's instincts kicked in as he dropped to one knee, peering through the foliage. Ahead, figures clad in dark gear moved stealthily among the trees, their presence a stark reminder of the growing danger. Rogue faction, he hissed, his voice barely above a whisper. Lyrics' eyes narrowed as she crouched beside him. They're more organized than we thought, she murmured, her expression grave.
Corvin must have reinforced his ranks. We can't let them see us. Alex's mind raced. They had to keep moving, but the prospect of an ambush loomed large. We need a distraction, he said, scanning the surroundings for anything that could create a diversion. Lyrix's gaze flicked to a nearby cluster of rocks. We could cause a landslide, she suggested. If we can dislodge some stones, it might draw their attention. All right, let's do it, Alex agreed, adrenaline flooding his system. He stood cautiously, moving toward the rocks while keeping his eye on the rogue faction. Lyrix followed, her presence steadying him. As he approached the rocks, Alex began to push against the largest stone, feeling its weight shift. On the count of 3, he whispered to Lyrix. 1, 2, 3. With a grunt, he shoved the stone hard, and it teetered on the edge before tumbling down the slope, sending smaller rocks cascading after it. The noise echoed, a clamor that shattered the silence of the woods. Alex ducked back behind the trees, heart thundering in his chest. A moment later, the rogue faction reacted, rushing toward the sound with shouts and curses. Now, Lyrix urged, and they darted away, hearts pounding as they slipped through the underbrush. They moved swiftly, navigating the dense foliage until they reached a clearing. The air was thick with tension, and Alex's senses were heightened. We might have bought some time, but we can't slow down, he said, glancing back at Lyrix. Agreed, she replied, her eyes scanning their surroundings. The temple is close. We just need to cross this clearing. As they entered the clearing, Alex felt a sudden chill. The ground was scorched, a stark contrast to the vibrant life in the forest around it. What happened here? He asked, horror creeping into his voice. This was once a peaceful gathering place, Lyrix said, her voice barely above a whisper. Corvin's faction has left destruction in their wake. We can't let it happen again. Determined, they pressed on, their pace quickening as the temple loomed ahead, framed by ancient trees. The structure was partially in ruins, vines creeping over time-worn stone, a testament to the Zektar's past glory. It's beautiful, Alex breathed, awe washing over him. How could anyone want to destroy this? It's a symbol of everything Corvin opposes, Lyrix said, her expression fierce. We must retrieve the communicator before they arrive. Just as they approached the entrance, Alex noticed movement in the shadows. Wait, he hissed, raising a hand to stop Lyrix. They ducked behind a fallen log, hearts racing as they watched 2 figures emerge from the temple's entrance. Did you hear that noise earlier? One of the rogues muttered, scanning the area, weapon drawn. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was, but we should check it out, the other replied, stepping forward. Alex exchanged a glance with Lyrix, the urgency palpable. We can't let them find out we're here, he whispered. Lyrix nodded, her eyes darting around for a way to distract them again. They're not looking at the entrance. If we can slip by while they're distracted, we might make it inside. Taking a deep breath, Alex steeled his nerves. Let's go. They moved stealthily, edging toward the entrance of the temple. The sound of the rogue faction members' footsteps echoed behind them, but their focus was elsewhere. Just as they reached the entrance, a loud crash erupted from further into the woods, followed by a series of frantic shouts. Did you hear that? One of the rogues exclaimed, turning to run back toward the noise. Let's check it out, the other shouted, and they sprinted away, leaving the entrance wide open. Alex and Lyrix exchanged relieved glances. We made it, Alex said, stepping into the temple's cool shadows. The interior was dimly lit, the air thick with dust and age. Crumbling murals adorned the walls, depicting scenes of unity and harmony that seemed almost surreal given the current state of affairs. Where do we look? Alex asked, scanning the room for any sign of the communicator. There's a central chamber, Lyrix replied, moving carefully through the debris. If it's anywhere, it should be there. As they made their way deeper into the temple, the atmosphere shifted. Shadows danced on the walls, and the air felt charged with anticipation. Every step resonated with the weight of history, and Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were racing against time. Suddenly, Lyrix stopped in her tracks. This way, she called, leading Alex toward a heavy door adorned with intricate carvings. It has to be behind here. Together, they pushed against the door, which creaked ominously as it swung open. The room beyond was small and circular, dominated by a large pedestal at its center. There! Lyrix exclaimed, pointing to a shimmering crystal embedded in the pedestal. It pulsed with a soft glow, radiating an otherworldly energy. That's the peace communicator. Alex approached it cautiously, his heart pounding with both excitement and dread. But just as he reached out to touch it, a loud crash echoed from outside the temple, followed by the unmistakable sounds of shouting voices. We're out of time, Alex shouted, grabbing the crystal. We need to get out of here. Lyrix nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. We have to find another way. They dashed back toward the entrance, but as they approached, the sound of footsteps echoed closer. The rogue faction was returning, and this time, they wouldn't be fooled. Quick, Alex urged, scanning for an escape route. We need to hide. As they ducked behind a fallen column, the weight of their mission loomed larger than ever. They had the crystal, but now, they had to survive long enough to use it. The stakes had never been higher, and the impending confrontation would determine the fate of both their worlds. With the rogue faction closing in, Alex felt a surge of uncertainty. Could they truly make a difference? But as he glanced at Lyrics, whose eyes burned with unwavering resolve, he knew they had to try. They had to believe in the possibility of peace against the chaos that threatened to consume them all. As they pressed on through the clearing, Alex's thoughts raced, formulating a plan to infiltrate the rogue faction's base. "We need a way to get closer to their camp without being spotted," he said, glancing at Lyrics. The determination in her eyes sparked a flicker of confidence within him. "I think I have an idea." "What do you have in mind?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "We could create a diversion to draw them away from their perimeter," Alex suggested. "If we can get some of their equipment damaged or set off an alarm, they'll have to investigate. That'll give us a window to slip in." Lyrics nodded, her expression thoughtful. "We'll need to be quick and precise. If they catch wind of our plan, it'll all be over." "Do you have anything that could help us?" Alex rummaged through his bag, pulling out a small device he had used during delivery runs, an old communicator. "This can emit a loud sound. I could rig it to explode with a loud bang when we're close enough to their camp." "Let's do it," Lyrics replied, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "But first, we need to gather more information about their numbers and defenses." As they edged closer to the rogue faction's camp, the trees thinned, revealing a makeshift base camouflaged within the foliage. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, their eyes sharp and alert. The sight sent a chill down Alex's spine. This was more than just a group of misfits, they were organized. "Look," Lyrics whispered, pointing to a stack of crates near the entrance. "They have weapons, supplies, and that looks like a control panel." The glowing interface pulsed with light, illuminating the area around it. "If we can sabotage that, we might destabilize their defenses." Alex's heart raced. "We need to get to that panel without drawing attention. I can create the distraction while you handle the controls. You know how those systems work better than I do." "Agreed," Lyrics said, her eyes narrowing as she assessed the guards' movements. "We need to act fast before they notice us lurking." Taking a deep breath, Alex positioned himself a short distance from the camp, the communicator clutched tightly in his hand. He could hear the guards chatting, their voices low yet distinct. "Now or never," he murmured to himself. As he pressed the button on the device, a shrill alarm echoed through the air, startling the guards. "What the hell was that?" one of them barked, instantly alert. With their attention diverted, Alex sprinted towards the control panel, his heart pounding in his ears. He spotted Lyrics slipping into the shadows, moving with the grace of someone who had navigated dangerous territory before. The sound of boots thudding against the ground filled the air as the guards rushed toward the source of the noise. "Go, go!" Alex urged Lyrics, who was already at the panel, fingers dancing over the controls with deft precision. The screen flashed warnings, and Alex felt a surge of hope. "Can you disable their defenses?" he asked. "I can try," she exclaimed, her voice a mix of concentration and urgency. "Just hold them off for a second." Alex took a defensive stance, scanning the area for any signs of the guards returning. The tension in the air was palpable, and he could hear the rustling of leaves as they approached. He held his breath, waiting for Lyrics' signal. "Almost there, just a few more seconds," she called out, her focus unwavering. Suddenly, footsteps echoed nearby, and Alex's pulse quickened. He spotted two guards making their way back, their weapons drawn. "We've got company," he shouted, adrenaline surging through him. "Just a little longer." Lyrics responded, her fingers flying over the controls, sweat glistening on her brow. With urgency fueling his actions, Alex ducked behind a nearby crate, peering out to gauge their position. The guards had stopped, confusion evident on their faces. "What's going on?" one of them grumbled. "Didn't you hear the alarm? We need to check the perimeter. Now!" Lyrics shouted, and Alex took a leap of faith. He burst from his hiding spot, charging towards the guards. Using his delivery cart as a makeshift shield, he barreled into the first one, knocking him off balance. The other guard turned, shock written across his face as Alex tackled him to the ground. "Get in!" Alex yelled to Lyrics, who was just finishing her work. She darted past him, her expression a blend of determination and fear. With the guards momentarily incapacitated, Alex turned to see Lyrics pulling a lever on the control panel. "That should do it," she said, relief flooding her face. "Their defenses are down." The alarms continued blaring, chaos erupting around them as the rogue faction scrambled to respond to the breach. "We need to move, now," Alex urged, grabbing Lyrics by the arm and leading her deeper into the camp. As they navigated through the confusion, Alex caught glimpses of the rogue faction members, their faces twisted in anger and confusion. It was clear they had a hidden agenda, one that extended beyond mere power struggles. He overheard snippets of conversations hinting at plans to provoke an interspecies war,
drawing all factions into chaos for their gain.
They're not just trying to control the Zektar, Alex whispered to Lyrics, urgency in his voice. They want to pit everyone against each other. We need to expose this.
Lyrics nodded, her eyes wide with realization. If we can get back to the marketplace, we can rally support. But first, we have to get the communicator. It's our only chance at peace. They pushed through the camp, adrenaline fueling their every move as they approached a central tent that looked to be the command center. Armed guards were stationed outside, but the chaos within provided an opening.
On my mark, Alex whispered.
We go in, grab the communicator, and get out.
Lyrics nodded, her expression resolute.
They exchanged a determined glance, and together they burst through the tent flap.
Inside, the chaos was overwhelming.
Equipment was strewn about, and the rogue faction's leader, a menacing figure with a scar running down his cheek, was barking orders.
Find them. They can't escape.
Alex's heart raced. This was the confrontation he had feared.
With a strategy forming in his mind, he took a deep breath.
This ends here, he muttered, stepping into the fray, ready to face the unknown. As the tension reached a breaking point, Alex crouched behind the crate, heart pounding as he stared down the approaching guards. Lyrics was deep in focus at the control panel, her fingers moving like a maestro conducting an orchestra. Suddenly, the screen lit up with a shower of error messages, causing her to curse under her breath.
Come on, she hissed, sweat trickling down her brow.
Alex could hear the guards' footsteps growing closer, their mutterings interspersed with the clinking of metal. Every second felt stretched, like the taut string of a bow ready to snap. Then, a voice rang out, clear and commanding.
What's the situation? It was the rogue leader, a figure Alex recognized from the few briefings he had seen.
He was tall, with sharp features that seemed to cut through the air itself. His presence radiated authority, but there was a certain menace in his calm demeanor. Sir, we heard an alarm, but we can't find the source, one of the guards reported, a hint of panic creeping into his voice.
We're checking the perimeter now.
Find it, the leader snapped, his eyes narrowing.
We can't afford any distractions.
This war is too fragile. Alex exchanged a glance with Lyrics, who looked at him with wide, purposeful eyes. It was now or never.
He took a deep breath, steeling himself. Lyrics, I'm going to divert their attention again. You need to finish what you started.
Be careful, she whispered urgently, her hands hovering over the panel. Alex slipped further behind the crates, his mind racing. He had no tactical training, but he had delivered enough pizzas to know a thing or two about distraction. He grabbed the communicator, reconfigured it hastily, and then let it rip. A series of loud, chaotic sounds erupted from it, mimicking the chaos of a malfunctioning machine. The guards turned as one, their eyes wide with surprise. What the hell now? One called out, and they started moving away from the camp. Alex could see the rogue leader's expression darkening as he tried to assess the situation. Lyrics, now, he shouted, and she nodded, fingers flying over the controls as the guards raced toward the noise. The rogue leader stood frozen, his gaze piercing through the shadows, sensing something was off. Alex took a deep breath and moved, darting toward the control panel. He saw Lyrics's brow furrow deeper as she fought against the system. I'm almost there, she called out, her voice strained. Just a little longer, he urged, darting around the crates to keep an eye on the guards. They were no longer in sight, but the rogue leader was still there, his eyes scanning the dim light of the camp. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the direction Alex had sent the noise. One of the guards had tripped over a stack of crates, sending equipment clattering to the ground. What are you doing? The leader barked, his frustration boiling over. Get back here. The guards hesitated, confusion evident in their expressions. But, sir, now, the rogue leader shouted, and they scrambled back, their eyes darting with uncertainty.
Lyrics, we don't have much time,
Alex urged, watching the guards race back toward the camp. She glanced at him, determination etched across her face. I'm in, she exclaimed, a flicker of triumph sparking in her eyes as the panel's screen shifted to a status report. They'd been using a network encryption system to control their defenses.
If I can hack this, we can disable the entire perimeter.
Do it, Alex shouted, adrenaline surging through him. He crouched lower, peering around the crate. The rogue leader had narrowed his gaze at the panel, suspicion growing. What are you doing, Lyrics? He demanded softly, eyes narrowing as he approached.
I need a distraction, Lyrics said, her voice low but urgent.
Got it,
Alex replied. He grabbed another piece of equipment, a small explosive Lyrics had made earlier in their journey.
He set it up behind the crate, igniting it with a flick of his wrist. A bright flash erupted behind him, illuminating the area and drawing the rogue leader's attention. What the leader's voice trailed off, and Alex seized the moment.
Now, Lyrics, go.
Lyrics's fingers flew over the panel, and Alex's heart raced as the lights around the camp flickered. The rogue leader turned back to the panel, his expression shifting from confusion to horror.
No, you can't. Yes, we can, Lyrics shouted, finally overriding the system.
The perimeter alarms fell silent, the lights dimming as the camp descended into an eerie stillness.
The rogue leader's frustration peaked. "You fools! You don't understand what you're doing," he barked. "This war is necessary. They will never back down without a fight." Alex stepped forward, feeling the gravity of their actions weigh on him. "You've been manipulating both sides. You're the one who needs to understand that we can't keep fighting. People are suffering because of your greed."
The rogue leader's eyes narrowed, a smirk creeping onto his face.
"Ah, the pizza boy finally finds his voice. But you think you can change the tides of war with a few words? I believe we can,"
Alex shouted back, feeling the fire of righteousness building within him.
"You've created this conflict to keep your power, but we're here to end it."
Lyrics turned to Alex, her eyes bright with newfound resolve.
"We won't let you use us anymore. Not today."
The rogue leader laughed, a cold, mirthless sound.
"You think this will change anything? There are others who will take my place. Power is a cycle, and it will always find a way." "Not if we expose you," Lyrics replied, determination etched into her voice. She pulled out a small recording device. "We'll show the truth to everyone."
Suddenly, the rogue leader's demeanor shifted. "You're making a mistake," he warned, but the uncertainty in his voice was palpable.
Alex felt a surge of empowerment. "We're not afraid of you anymore. You're just a bully hiding behind your weapons."
With the perimeter down and the guards disoriented, Alex and Lyrics had the upper hand. They shared a glance, realizing how far they had come, and with the rogue leader's manipulations laid bare, they could finally shift the balance of power. "Let's go," Alex said, his voice steady as he stepped toward the leader, ready to confront whatever came next. The rogue leader's facade was crumbling, and the hope of peace flickered like a distant star, ready to shine a light on the path ahead. Alex held his breath as the rogue leader's shadow loomed closer, his sharp features illuminated under the pale light of the camp. The previous chaos had stirred the guards, but the leader's aura seemed to command even the shadows to bend to his will. With Lyrics working feverishly at the control panel, Alex felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This was it: either they would succeed, or the war would drag on into an abyss of despair. "Lyrics," he whispered urgently, "how much longer?" He glimpsed her determination, the sweat glistening on her forehead, reflecting both the seriousness of their predicament and her resolve. "Just a few more seconds," she replied, her eyes darting between the screens. "I think I can tap into their communication system. If I can access their channels, I might be able to persuade the factions to negotiate a ceasefire." Alex's heart raced, the idea igniting a spark of hope. "You mean, we could actually stop the fighting?" "If we can get them to listen," she replied, her fingers dancing over the keys with a grace that belied the weight of their mission. Suddenly, the loud clanking of boots echoed through the camp as the guards returned, their shouts piercing the tension of the moment. "Get back to your posts. We need to secure the area." The rogue leader's voice thundered, clearly losing patience. Alex quickly formulated a plan. "I'll hold them off," he said, taking a deep breath. "Just keep working." He moved out from behind the crates just as the guards began to fan out, searching for any sign of the disturbance they had just witnessed. "Hey!" Alex shouted, his voice carrying through the night, forcing the guards to turn their attention toward him. "You really want to arrest a pizza guy? I'm just here to deliver." The absurdity of his claim hung in the air, a momentary distraction that earned confused glances from the guards. "What are you doing here?" one of the guards barked, stepping forward, his weapon drawn and aimed directly at Alex. "Just trying to make a living in a war zone," Alex replied, his heart thumping wildly as the rogue leader narrowed his eyes at him. "But it looks like you guys are taking this whole war thing a bit too seriously." "What are you talking about?" the guard snapped, his expression a mix of frustration and incredulity. Before Alex could respond, Lyrics's voice broke through the tension, sharp and clear. "You want to know what's really going on? The war is based on lies, and I can prove it." The guards shifted their focus, giving Alex a fleeting window of opportunity. "Yeah, listen to her," Alex urged, his voice steadying. "We don't need to keep fighting. Look around, people are suffering, and for what? A bunch of outdated grudges?" "Shut your mouth, delivery boy," the guard exclaimed, but the rogue leader held up a hand, silencing him. He studied Alex with a calculating gaze, his interest piqued. "What do you know?" the leader demanded, stepping closer, his tone shifting from irritation to intrigue. "You're just a pizza delivery guy." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "I know that these wars are built on misunderstandings and fear, and I know that if we keep fighting, we'll only create more enemies." He pointed toward Lyrics. "She's about to show you something that could change everything." The rogue leader's eyes flickered to Lyrics, who had finally hacked into the communication system. The tension in the air shifted as she began to broadcast a message across the camp's network, her voice steady but urgent. "To all factions, this is Lyrics from the Zogshans. We cannot continue this cycle of violence. We need to talk, to discuss our differences and find a way to coexist. The guards exchanged uneasy glances, the rogue leader's expression darkening as he tried to assess the implications of her words. You think you can just stop a war with words? He asked, skepticism dripping from every syllable. Why not? Alex replied, stepping forward, emboldened by Lyrix's message. We've tried fighting for too long. It hasn't worked. But if we talk, if we understand each other, we can create a peace that lasts. Peace, the rogue leader scoffed, but the uncertainty in his voice was palpable. What do you propose? Alex's heart raced as he realized they were at a critical juncture. We need to forge a communication network. This peace communicator can foster ongoing dialogue between our species. It's a start, an opportunity for collaboration instead of conflict. Lyrix nodded, her fingers still dancing over the keyboard as she prepared to pull up visual evidence of the destruction caused by the war. Look at what we've lost. Look at the lives destroyed, the families torn apart. We can't let this continue. The rogue leader hesitated, weighing his options. And if I refuse? Then you'll be just another part of the problem, Alex shot back, his voice firm. But if you accept, you could be a part of the solution. You could lead the way toward a future where we work together. The silence that followed was thick with unspoken words. The rogue leader's expression shifted as he glanced at the guards, then back at Alex and Lyrix. The zeal in Alex's voice seemed to resonate in the stillness. I'll give you this chance, the rogue leader finally said, his voice low but resolute. But if this fails, it will be on your heads. Alex nodded, relief flooding through him. We'll make it work. Together. As the rogue leader gestured for his guards to lower their weapons, Alex felt a wave of hope wash over him. This was the moment he had simply dreamed of as a pizza delivery driver, yet somehow, he had transcended that role. He was no longer just delivering pizzas, he was delivering peace. Lyrix's fingers continued to fly over the controls, her screen illuminating the faces of their people, the Zogtians and the others, caught in the crossfire. We will share our stories, she declared with newfound determination. We will show them the truth of our existence. With the peace communicator now operational, Alex and Lyrix had opened the door to an unprecedented dialogue. The potential for collaboration glimmered like a distant star, beckoning them toward a new dawn. As the rogue leader nodded, Alex's heart soared with the realization that they had taken the first step toward ending the war. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew they would face them together, united in their quest for understanding and cooperation. With the agreement in place, Alex and Lyrix would now navigate the complexities of interspecies communication, working to ensure the peace they had fought for would endure in the galaxy. The bonds forged in this moment of crisis would carry them forward, forging a new reality not just for themselves, but for everyone caught in the chaos of war. Alex stood in the dim light of the rogue camp, the echoes of Lyrix's urgent plea still hanging in the air. The rogue leader's skepticism was palpable, but the glimmer of hope in Alex's chest refused to flicker out. He had come too far to let fear dictate the outcome now. Listen, Alex said, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. I'm just a pizza delivery guy. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to help you see that this war is senseless. The rogue leader's brow furrowed, and for a moment, he seemed to weigh Alex's words, the tension in his posture relaxing just a fraction. Lyrix, her fingers still flying over the control panel, continued broadcasting. If we keep fighting, we'll lose everything. Families, homes, futures. This war is based on lies, and I can prove it. Her voice crackled through the camp's communication system, drawing the attention of more guards, who began to gather, their expressions a mix of confusion and curiosity. Prove it, the rogue leader scoffed, but Alex could see the flicker of interest in his eyes. What do you know? I know that every faction here has its own story, its own pain, Alex replied, stepping forward, emboldened by the sudden attention. But those stories are tangled in misunderstandings. You think the Zogtians want to destroy you, but they want to survive just like you do. They want peace. One of the guards, a young alien with a hesitant expression, spoke up. But they attacked us first. They betrayed our trust. Trust is earned, not demanded, Alex countered, his voice rising above the murmurs. What if we could rewrite the narrative? What if we could sit down, talk, and understand each other instead of shooting at shadows? The rogue leader's expression shifted, the hard lines of his face softened for a moment. And you think you can facilitate this? A pizza delivery guy? Yes, Alex replied, the weight of his words hanging heavily. I've seen families torn apart by conflict, but I've also seen the power of a simple meal shared. It's not about who has the biggest weapon, it's about who has the biggest heart. Lyrix, sensing the shift, leaned into the moment. I can set up a meeting. A neutral ground where both sides can come together. No weapons, just conversation. The rogue leader's gaze flickered between Alex and Lyrix. You think this will work? It has to, Alex said, feeling the resolve harden within him. It's the only way we can stop the suffering. You can't keep fighting a war that only leads to more pain. The tension in the air was thick, but there was a shift, a subtle change as the guards exchanged uncertain glances. The rogue leader nodded slowly, as if coming to terms with the reality laid out before him. "All right," he said, his voice low but steady. "If you want to talk, we'll talk. But if this fails, the blood will be on your hands." "Fair enough," Alex replied, relief flooding through him. "But it won't fail. I promise." As the guards began to disperse, murmuring among themselves, Alex turned to Lyrics, who wore a look of disbelief mixed with hope. "Did that just happen?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We did it," Alex said, a grin breaking across his face. "We actually did it. Now, we just need to make sure both sides show up." Days passed, and the tension that had once engulfed the camp began to ease. The meeting was set for a neutral zone, a wide-open field illuminated by bioluminescent plants that painted the landscape with a soft glow. The air was thick with expectation as representatives from the rogue faction and the Zogtians arrived, each side wary yet curious. Alex stood at the forefront, flanked by Lyrics and the rogue leader. He could see the uncertainty in the eyes of both factions, but he also sensed a flicker of hope. "Today, we're not enemies," he said, raising his voice to carry over the murmurs. "Today, we're human beings and Zogtians. We're here to listen." The rogue leader took a step forward. "We've been at war for too long, but perhaps it's time we learn to trust again." His voice was steady, and Alex could see the tension beginning to lift, if only slightly. The Zogtian representative, a tall alien with shimmering skin, nodded. "We want peace, but we need to understand why this happened in the first place." Lyrics stepped in, her calm demeanor anchoring the moment. "Let's share our stories. Let's understand the pain that has led us here." As the two sides began to speak, Alex felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. He had navigated through chaos, not as a pizza delivery guy, but as a messenger of peace. The stories unfolded, tales of loss, fear, and hope intertwining in the air like a tapestry of humanity. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden rays over the gathering. Laughter broke out as tensions eased, and for the first time in years, the weight of war began to lift, replaced by the promise of understanding. Weeks passed, and the alliance forged in that field blossomed into something remarkable. Alex found himself traveling between worlds, acting as a bridge, facilitating conversations and shared experiences. The war that had once threatened to consume everything began to fade into the background, replaced by a burgeoning camaraderie. Reflecting on his journey, Alex felt a profound sense of purpose. He had transformed from a simple delivery driver into a catalyst for change, a role he never expected to embrace. Each new meeting, each shared meal, reinforced his belief in the power of connection. As he stood at the edge of the galactic marketplace, the familiar sense of spices and baked bread wafted through the air. He smiled. The universe was vast, filled with stories waiting to be told, and he was ready to listen. With a heart full of hope, Alex Rodriguez stepped forward, ready for whatever adventures awaited him next in the ongoing quest for peace across the galaxy.